Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's Smashy here, and today upon Summer Games Fest I'm here to speak about a very new and exciting game that is coming in 2022. Now, as you guys will know from some of my channel content, I am absolutely in love with 2 Point Hospital, and we have been given the privilege of knowing that 2 Point Campus is on its way in 2022. This game was actually leaked about a week ago and then officially announced at the festival this weekend, in fact yesterday, Thursday. So I am so excited. The trailer has been released. What we're going to do today is we're going to do a little deep dive and kind of speculate on what is to come in this brand new game. What I want to do is just give you a little disclaimer, is that if you haven't seen this trailer already, I really do recommend that you go and have a look at it before you come and have a look at this video, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop, I'm going to talk all over it. And I think it would be a better experience for you if you have a look at the original first and then come back and enjoy my feedback on it. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I've got my notes in hand, so let's give it a go. Hi guys, so we've got the volume up, we are on 1080p, so let's get into it. So the first scene you see here is students arriving at university, college, for the very first time. You can see there's all different types of students that are going to be here. One of the first people that you see is one of the first jobs that are going to be at the campus, which is a janitor.
First sight of the school gates.
What was interesting here is that there's quite a few things going on. So you can see that these assets here keep changing. So we had fountains, statues, we had nothing at all. You can see a tree dropped in, and in a second a bench is also going to appear here for this lady to sit on. You can see also that the students are enjoying like the common areas. They're sitting on the grass and enjoying their time. And what's interesting for me is why there is like almost like an engineer kind of person here with like a hard hat and a high vis on. Like, why do we need maintenance and like, or even a surveyor? Maybe he's like a surveying student. Maybe.
The scent of a leather-bound book, the faint clatter of night.
So this is one of the main students, I believe, that are going to be within the campus. So you can see that these are knights, and they have boxing gloves at the end of their jousts. I'm not sure how the education system is going to work in this game, whether obviously what we would do with a Tin Man if he was in 2 Point Hospital is we would diagnose him and treat him of that, and then he'd be on his way. Whereas I imagine what will happen is these guys will have to go through kind of basic subjects, maybe maths, English, science perhaps, and then they finish with their class that, you know, dictates them more as a person, or has more to do with their personality, which is in this case night class. You'll see more from night class shortly. These look like teachers here, and they are wearing different things. So they are both male based characters. One's wearing brown and one's kind of wearing like a navy blue suit. What's interesting about that is they're both male characters, but they are different. Whereas most doctors kind of in 2 Point Hospital were wearing the same things. They had different facial features and things like that, but at the end of the day they weren't really diversified. They still wore the same coats. I guess in a hospital it's kind of difficult to have them wearing anything else, so it's nice to see that the staff are a bit more diverse.
It's jousting? Well, I can't say I remember that part.
So this scene is quite interesting to look at. Yes, again, we see the maintenance staff that are cleaning up like what looks like an apple in a crisp packet. We've got the return of Cheesy Gubbins and the Burt Pop, which are very prominent in 2 Point Hospital, so it's just generally part of the 2 Point universe. That's completely fine. I don't mind them reusing these assets, because at the end of the day, a can of pop in 2 Point Hospital is going to be the same, you know, as in 2 Point Campus. That's like us having a bottle of Coke or a bottle of Sprite or something like that. Coffee cups, the drone makes me wonder what the drone has to do with the game. Maybe it is just there as something that the students are playing with, or it could be part of electronics or sort of like a mechanics based course. You see a student here off to the right, which we're going to zoom in on in a little minute. It looks like he's part of like a magic class. You can see he's got his hat on as well as his robe. And then in the background, these guys here with the red trousers, you'll see as the camera pans around, it looks like they're, you know, holding somebody into the air, which is this guy here. So a little bit odd.
Though it wasn't like this in my day. You see, campuses are forever changing.
So, yet again, we're having a look at different types of students. I think most of the students kind of look very generic, apart from you have perhaps one that's like an emo student or a gothic type. And then this one in the foreground that appears to be what is potentially a performing arts type student, or let's face it, they look like a clown. They've got the red nose. They do make me think of Jest and Jester Festation. So I just wonder what relation that will have. Maybe they're just supposed to be a student with that fashion trend. I'm not really sure. Couple, you know, water machine is a reused asset. There are quite a few reused assets, if I'm honest, within the game.
Nowadays, education has to be fun. It can't be all work and no play.
So this is like a common room or a library, and you can see that the different assets they're dropping in, like the bookcase, the plant, armchairs, tables, fireplaces, rugs, they are fairly similar to what we've been doing. Say, for example, in psychiatry, I think pretty much all of these assets you can put in a psychiatry room. Some statues as well.
And quite right too. Frankly, the results...
This is kind of cool because it's like competitive frisbee, and I like the helmets that they're wearing. It makes me wonder what this has to do. Maybe the frisbee is supposed to be cheese and the mice are catching the cheese. I'm not really sure. You've got kind of cheerleaders as well. It looks like you have one team here on one side that are celebrating, whereas these guys don't look like they're too happy, do they? It looks like this guy, wonder if he's on a different team. I'm not really sure. He's got this yellow stripe cloak at the back, but they are wearing fairly similar things. Either way, I think it's exciting that they have invented almost a competitive version of a game that we haven't thought of yet, IRL.
Speak for themselves. Academia has never been...
So here, and I've just paused it on a really bad moment. Is that somebody taking a selfie? It looks like there's some sort of history or archaeology based class. And this chap does look like he's part of Monopoly. Reminds me of the Monopoly chap. Makes me wonder whether history is a lesson. Maybe it's just here for decoration. And who would this be then? Is he like the archaeology teacher? Because he is dressed very distinctly.
Has never been more appealing.
Now this room reminds me of obviously robotics. but also a research department, because these blocks on the right hand side remind me of the servers that go in the research department. So it looks like you have kind of a very basic desks set up with computer monitors. This looks like the researchers from 2 Point Hospital, and then obviously you have a student with kind of like the cyborg headpiece and then the robotic arms and legs.
More dynamic. More. What?
And then other assets, yet again, they look like what you would find in perhaps a research department. You got notice board. Is that a polygraph? I'm not really sure. But these look like kind of research machines, really. I think that's where we are going here.
Whatever this is. Today's campus is a place.
So out in the corridors, you can see reused asset of the phone. That is the exact same phone. Yet again, we've got our kind of gothic student. We've got one of our kind of sporty kind of guys having a wedgie. Yet again, there is a handyman in the background tidying up all the litter. Notice board, and then you'll see in a second there are some lockers that drop in just to the side here.
To live and a place to learn. Finely crafted.
Is this Tinder, swiping left and swiping right? That's quite funny. This is kind of like the student canteen, so we'll see in a minute that you've got the burp machine that drops in, which is where these cans come from. You've got a jukebox, plastic trays, and then you'll see in a second you have a microwave and a kettle. Fairly basic setup. Or maybe this is part of student accommodation, which may or may not be right, because there is like us, like the administrator that seems to live in here.
By the sharpest minds that money can buy. Though sometimes you still.
I mean, this could also be a staff room, but it doesn't really scream staff room to me, although this guy just get picked up in a minute. And what I love about this is that they pick him up like you would do in the game itself. He literally just gets disturbed from his nap and plonked straight into an auditorium like we do when we're playing 2 Point Hospital. Yet again, the assets are very similar with bookcases. There is a globe that appears on the table in a second. There is a sideboard that came in here a minute ago, and then various different certificates and things like that.
Can't get the staff.
So this is the night class that I was speaking of. So I do honestly believe that what will happen is students have to go through all the basic subjects, and then they will pass their class. Now, what Sir Nigel mentions eventually, I don't think he's said it yet, but he essentially says the higher the grade, the more we get paid. So I think that the better the quality of the initial lessons they go on, the higher chance of you getting more money and them getting a higher grade in this last lesson, which is essentially the cure in 2 Point Hospital. And this auditorium in particular is decorated with kind of knights' flags and a dragon's head, crossed swords, the fake horse and things like that. All of them are knights as well, apart from this one guy who's like a culinary student, and you see him there and then he like legs it out of the room in a minute. So that is what I am speculating the game to be like. Whether I'm right or wrong, I do not know.
Yes, these days it really does feel as though anything is possible.
So this is like robotics class maybe. So you can see the different monitors, like a power supply here, a lava lamp, various different tech bits for welding and things like that. Not much to say here. It just appears that these are students who have tried to make a robot. And then you have a student wearing kind of, I'm sorry, there is going to be a word for this, but I'm not a musically minded person, so I don't know what it's called, but like the tuxedo dress that you would use as part of an orchestra when you're attending a performance. And obviously he's got his violin. So music seems to be quite a prominent career choice. This is going into the builder now, and what I love about the builder is you can see that you are building the building yourself rather than purchasing the building from the map, which I think is fantastic because it gives you the flexibility of where you want them to go, and also you are plonking them onto the grass yourself, so you can control how much of a grassed area you would like and how much you wouldn't, how many trees you put, how many benches you put. Obviously I'm not sure of every outdoor asset or the fountains, but I think that's really nice. And you'll see in a minute that once he's finished building this, you can choose the doorway, and then you can build your buildings within the building. You can build your different classrooms within the building, and then there are some trees that get plopped onto this empty bit of space. I think that there's so much you can do. I think it's really good. It's also fast paced, isn't it? That's why I keep having to pause it because it just goes so quickly. But this is obviously a recording studio, and what I love about this is they've got an old school cassette tape. If you were born in the 80s like I was, or maybe even early 90s, you will know what a cassette tape is. And also you can see you've got your microphone here. In a second you'll see there's like a treble clef and some other music notes that are here. They don't last very long, they do disappear. These are like noise reduction panels on the wall, and then obviously you've got your mixer deck here. So these are our culinary students, and you'll see in a minute they make what looks like a very big omelette or a pancake or something like that. So this is what I think is a student bar. Why do I think this is a student bar and not a lesson? And that's because, for a start, there is a bar, and it looks like there's beer taps, there's glasses, fridges. There's different types of students in here as well. So you've got all of your culinary students, and then you've got a mixture of all others. Somebody performing on stage, obviously you've got all of your seating with candles, foosball, the jukebox, the famous bin. What looks like a gaming table, but where my camera is, just down there. Yes, I know I need to activate Windows. And then the stage itself. This is actually the very same basic bench from 2 Point Hospital, and then your lockers as well. So moving on, you can see that this is a culinary student and they're in bed. So obviously it suggests that there are going to be dorms within the game. And this looks like, you'll see it pan around in a minute, but it does look like there is also like a student lounge as well. But it shows two different students. So this is the first one passed out. And this is the second one. Now, with this student, I've spent ages speculating over this because he's got his desk with his ball and his electric ball, and he's got his bed, but he has a green substance in a jar that he is hiding in a wardrobe. So I'll let you guys speculate at what that could be, but he's hiding that in his wardrobe, guys, anyway. Just an example of the kind of environment that you expect the school to be. On the actual the main presentation that came at the launch of this trailer, you could see the different towns, essentially, I guess, the schools are going to be in. What I think will happen is that when you get to different towns, I think that different towns will have different challenges with terms of education. You might end up in towns where they're struggling to educate their students, and I think that might be the way it works. I'm not sure how else they would really be able to do it. Obviously with 2 Point Hospital, if it was in the snowy mountains, then you'll have people with broken bones who'd hurt themselves skiing and things like that. And near a toxic waste dump, you have people with all sorts of diseases. So it makes me wonder how they would do this in an educational perspective. So maybe it's that different parts of the world, the 2 Point world, have different struggles with education, or maybe there are businesses nearby that are having a drought, or maybe a generation of parents has given birth to a load of children that are only interested in becoming engineers, and they need an engineering specific campus to be in order to teach all these children that only want to learn mechanics, perhaps. So this looks like a student kitchen, couple of microwaves. I presume these are microwaves, your sink and your units, foosball, bin, machine, the good old student plastic red cups, and cartons of juice and milk. And these are just culinary students chilling out. I love these aerial shots because I feel that they, you can get an idea of what the game would actually look like whilst you're playing it, rather than it being a edited video specifically to advertise the game. So you can see here, these look like tennis courts. I'm not entirely sure whether these tennis courts are part of like a land block which will get knocked down in order for you to build the campus. So I'm not sure if that is part of the campus or part of the background. And it's the same here with this kind of park area. It looks like by that borderline that it's land that you can buy and knock down, perhaps. That's a shame. That would have been nice for the students, wouldn't it? Just buy that off the bat. But looking down at the rooms that you have here, it will do a zoomed in version, but essentially it looks like you have a auditorium, a staff room, because I can see the old brown sofa from 2 Point Hospital, and a couple of armchairs and a table. What looks like a library, and then some toilets. And then you can see here, shouldn't have done that, you can see the dorms. So these are dorms, and you can see that there are 3 beds in that room and what looks like a bookcase. It looks like there's kind of 3 to a room. That's what I think anyway. This kind of, it makes me feel, it's kind of got the jousting feeling to it, because you can see the assets of like flags and swords within like a sword rack, but also these kind of tents remind me of that festival map that's in 2 Point Hospital as well. But they have kind of that castle effect flagging, which I guess they've just adapted that model to look more relative to this game. That is that same staff room, and you can see there's a games machine in there as well. So that's a better view of your recording studio. It looks like there is a drum-based or some sort of percussion-based kit there. I love this. I think this is really cool. It's like a chalkboard, a mat, and then you've got your rose bushes that are also in the hospital game.
2 Point Campus.
This is a nice thing to look at, because you can see here's your auditorium again, here's your student bar. I think it's nice to see the dance floor. This is the library, so I think this is a library rather than a classroom, because you've got the different bookcases, you've got computer, a laptop. This looks like a private reading booth. They actually have them in my university anyway, just a place that you can go and read and be quiet. I'm not sure if the side panels are there as like to give you privacy, but I also think it helps with noise cancellation as well. Basic benches, basic drinks machines, lockers, leaflet stand, hot dog stand, and then your student bathrooms. It does feel, just by looking at this, it does make me feel a little bit about 2 Point Hospital. I'm not sure how the library and private time of students are going to fit into this game. Obviously, with 2 Point Hospital, there wasn't a vast amount of private time that patients had. When they came in, they're always queuing for something, aren't they? The only time that they divert from that path is if they need the bathroom, or they go to the cafe or the drinks machines, or to look at a leaflet or something like that. So it makes me wonder if the characters can be engineered to kind of sit on the grass if they want to whilst they're waiting for the next lesson. I don't know if the lessons are going to be at certain times, which is obviously traditionally what you have, or if they just wait for, you know, whoever's in the queue to be done, and then the next lot that are ready to queue go in. And look, it's that engineer again. I don't know if he is really just there for effect. And there's an engineer here as well. It might just be a different skin option for the maintenance staff. But we are seeing, again, we've got the night students and also the culinary. No, they're not the culinary students. They are the music chaps. Well, I think they're going to be music chaps, or there's some sort of performance-based students anyway.
Class is in session 2020.
Having a look at this is another view of the same thing. So you can see there's the tennis courts that we were just speaking about. Now, looking at this other building that they have shown us, this looks like beds. They look like a big dorm. So it looks like that. Instead of having individual rooms, this looks like one big sleeping area and one big sleep toilet block, essentially, to support that, with a library in. But what's funny is it looks like it's on fire, so somebody may have set fire to the dorms, unless this is like a torch. You know, like in the movies when you're watching kind of Indiana Jones and they've got like a flaming torch. So it could either be lighting, or it could be that the campus is on fire. Not entirely sure. So we might have to have fire extinguishers.
22.
And that's it, guys. So at the end of the preview, or trailer I should say, we're just given an example yet again of the different students we expect to see. I'm not sure who this lady is. Maybe just an English student, or it could be any student really. She's not dressed in any particular way that would suggest she's part of a specific group of people. You've got your sports guy, you've got your emo chick, you've got your clown guy, performing arts guy, culinary. This lady looked like a cheerleader. She was actually at the Frisbee game. And then you've got your wizarding student. And you can see PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and then Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and Steam, which is PC. It's going to be 2022. We do not know much more about it yet. What do I think about it? So, all in all, I love the 2 Point universe. I really, really enjoyed 2 Point Hospital. I honestly thought that 2 Point might have a crack at 2 Point Park. thinking that they would perhaps go back to the roots of Bullfrog kind of and do, you know, a different version of theme park in a 2-point studio version, but I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of reused assets, and I know that we've had COVID going through the world at the minute, and studios have been struggling. Maybe it was easier to release this type of game whilst people are still working at home and things like that. I think that 2-Point Park may have been a little bit more difficult to have so many reused assets, because it is completely chalk and cheese, because it's mostly outdoor rather than an indoor experience. I'm just trying to look at some of the notes that I've made. I love that Sir Nigel has been the voiceover for this trailer. I do think that he was one of the funny parts of the hospital game. What else? What have I written, guys? I've got a massive list. Here's a good one. I'm wondering if they are going to be challenged over the amount of jobs that you can have in the hospital versus the campus, because in the hospital we had receptionists, like admin assistants. I'm not sure how much we're going to need those assistants in the campus. Maybe you would have one working in the canteen, one working in the library to kind of check out the books, one working as a receptionist but not checking students in every single day, because if they live on campus then they don't need to do that. Obviously we're going to have some sort of handyman that deal with the litter and fires that students may cause in the dorms, and then teachers. So it makes me wonder if perhaps there is going to be one less type of staff member, because there were students there was doctors and nurses in the hospital game, but do we just need teachers? And I presume that the teachers are going to just rank up as the doctors would, so from junior doctor all the way up to consultant, etc. It makes me wonder if we're going to have like supply teacher, professor. I'm not sure what's in the middle of those. I'm not really sure what to say. I think that people who have spent 650 hours as I have playing 2-Point Hospital, it concerns me that it could feel very samey. But I'm hoping that there is a unique mechanic around the way that the students are. Obviously, the idea of a student is that they don't just come in for one day, have a couple of tests, get cured and leave. Students are on a campus for 3, 4, 5 years. And I know that time works differently in the 2-Point world. So it makes me wonder how that's going to work. I think the different objectives are going to be similar to an extent. So I think that there's going to be objectives surrounding the grades students are getting. So that will be your cure rate. I think that is going to be a direct crossover. It'll just be renamed. I think that there's going to be things like litter. I think there's going to be Ofsted. I'm sorry if you're not from the UK. We have like a body that looks after schools, and it's called Ofsted, and they do inspections to make sure that they meet certain requirements expected by the government. So I think that there'll be kind of inspections from the government, and then you'll get grants from that. I think that when you change from a different town, there's going to be different needs depending on what the community is. I think that you'll have a tourist village that needs a lot of hospitality students, and you'll have to train a lot of chefs and things like that, like my engineering example earlier. So that's what I foresee. I'm definitely going to play the game. I've added it to my Steam wish list. I sign up for all of the updates for the game, you can do that too on the 2 Point Studios website. So what I'll do for you is I will pop you a link. Also, what I'll do for you is I will pop you a link to the original trailer that is also on YouTube, on the 2 Point Campus page, so that if you were naughty and watched my video first, which you shouldn't have done, then you can go back and have a look at the original trailer without me waffling all over it. So thank you so much for taking the time to view this video. Please let me know what you think of this game, because I am excited. Like I said though, I am a bit worried about how samey it will be, but I'm really excited to try it anyway. If you would be so kind to drop me a like on the video, and also subscribe if you would like to see similar videos from me in the future. Thank you very much. Goodbye.